Welcome back to Justice. And now for my open. Tonight, 320 United States Marines stationed at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq are slowly being surrounded by ISIS as close as 5 miles away. Their encampment has no natural protections, no mountains, no rivers, no hills, no cover. Just yesterday, word that ISIS militants, disguised in coalition-friendly Iraqi army uniforms, attacked that very base. Those ISIS fighters, some wearing suicide vests, were killed. But some say that it was a probing mission to determine the vulnerabilities of our base. Watching this from afar, even an amateur would see this is a classic circle the enemy maneuver. Certainly there can be no question in the minds of those watching from the Pentagon and the White House that our Marines are in danger. I worry President Obama is not taking this seriously, that this will lead to a possible disaster. I worry that unless serious steps are taken by a real leader, we are setting ourselves up for a loss of American lives. Just days ago, the president said that ISIS was suffering from a morale problem.
And we've seen reports of sinking morale among ISIL fighters as they realize the futility of their cause.
1 minute, ISIS morale is sinking. The next, they're circling our Marines. My sense is the only morale problem is in that encampment. My sense is that these 300 Marines, surrounded by ISIS within striking distance, are wondering how much longer before they get reinforcements. How would they be rescued? How long would it take? But no worries, the Pentagon says they're safe. This is no time for Obama speak. ISIS doesn't have a morale problem. They're not a JV team. They're not on the run, and we're not winning. Think of the firestorm rained down upon the White House after Benghazi. And that was 4 Americans. This, over 300. And this one, you can see it coming. No need for any emergency cables. Our Pentagon spokesperson doesn't think it's a big deal.
We've said from the very beginning there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be gives and takes here. I don't think we should make more out of this. It's one town. It's not all of Al-Anbar. It's not all of Iraq. We need to keep it in perspective.
Really? That one town is where our soldiers are. Add this to the mix. 1 minute we're a success in Yemen.
This strategy of taking out terrorists who threaten us while supporting partners on the front lines is one that we have successfully pursued in Yemen and Somalia for years.
The next minute, we're racing out of Yemen, leaving our vehicles, military evacuated, not on military planes and transports, but on commercial flights. Mr. President, you keep telling us that we're winning, but we've been kicked out of Libya, Syria, and now Yemen. And by the way, why didn't we stay and fight? Isn't the whole point of an installation to protect Americans? And yet, the United States of America, we put our tail between our legs and run. We don't stay to defend our embassy. We lay down our weapons and run. Last time we did that, we left billions of dollars in equipment for the enemy to use. This week, your authorization of military force naively identifies ISIS and just their associates as the only real threat. Not Al-Qaeda, not Boko Haram, not the Khorasan group. And Mr. President, you yourself admit that you already have the authority to fight ISIS. You're not a serious leader. You keep telling the enemy what we intend to do and not do. Your schizophrenic approach in Pakistan was laughable. On the same day that you announce a surge, you announce when we're leaving. And as we leave, our troops are in more danger because they're fewer in number. Our Constitution puts the military under civilian leadership. That's why the president is called the commander-in-chief. It is a fundamental tenet to our country's democracy. Congress decides whether to fight, and the president manages the fight. But as Commander-in-Chief, Mr. President, you seem more concerned with the politics of war and the campaign promises to end conflicts and close Gitmo than in protecting Americans. You won't identify our global enemy, radical jihad. You only identify ISIS, and even then refuse to say what their motivations are. Instead, to prove my point that you're not serious, you cut the military's budget, there's a shortage of equipment, their benefits continue to be eroded, many don't receive the care they need to return from war. In fact, 22 of them commit suicide every day. You want to talk about morale? Look in your own house. The definition of low morale is when the military announces that the United States Army will pay for a sex change for a convicted spy, Bradley Manning, while veterans die because they can't get doctor's appointments. You spend your time looking ridiculous in a selfie for your health care program. I want to see a picture of you with your sleeves rolled up working on safeguarding this great nation. Mr. President, you won't identify a strategy. You don't even use the word victory. You're comfortable with dismantle and degrade. The latest poll indicates 73% of Americans agree with me that you do not have a clear strategy to defeat ISIS. And Mr. President, you need to get serious about what's going on in the Middle East. And that's my open.